Okay, we're on. Alrighty, good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, or good evening from wherever you are tuning in from. My name is Angeline Constantinou. I am the founder, podcaster, and coach of my podcast, Let's Break the Silence with Angeline. And what we focus on is helping women regain their power and rediscover themselves after domestic violence. And in today's broadcast, we are on episode 24. And by the way, you can find us by clicking the link in the bio. So please click on www.letsbreakthesilence.com for all other episodes. And we are going to be live on YouTube. And this episode will be uploaded on my podcast, which you can find on Anchor FM, Spotify, Google, Apple Podcasts, and all the live streaming platforms. So today I have a very, very special guest, actually a very, very special friend of mine. And her name is Davi, and we met on TikTok, I think a couple of months ago, right?
Yes, we did.
And how are you doing today?
I'm doing fabulous. Thank you, Angelina. I'm doing fabulous. And how are you doing today?
I am doing great. And you know, I had the pleasure of meeting you 2 months ago. I was fairly new to TikTok at the time. So I met you, I think, on a live broadcast on the FYP page. And then we started to get to know each other. And lo and behold, Davi lives about 30 minutes from me. It's 30 minutes south of me. So isn't it just a blessing? This is the power of the internet. The power of the internet is, and social media, is making friends with people. So, you know, Davi really inspires me because she herself, you know, I'm really super excited to speak with her. We're gonna have a conversation. We're gonna be talking about today ways that women can rediscover themselves after an abusive relationship or some sort of, you know, relationship or toxic relationship. So Davi, please tell us a little bit about yourself, because the audience would love to know who you are. Who is Davi?
Well, Davi is this amazing person that I have discovered. Was I always amazing? Probably. But when you're younger, you tend to not realize that, right? Because we don't even know who we are when we're younger. And I, you know, was married for 23 years. I have 4 beautiful sons from that marriage. You know, sometimes when you're in a relationship, when you're in a marriage, you tend to grow apart, especially when you've been with someone for as long as I was with my ex-husband. And sometimes, you know, things happen, you know, a little bit of both, right? So I will take some responsibility, and then I would give him responsibility in their marriage coming to an end. You know, and that's what it is. It's the way I choose to look at things. So I don't go back and dwell on things I can no longer change. I tend to want to take that energy that I have and put it into myself moving forward. And so therefore, I always consider myself the woman who looks at her glass half full, right? So, you know, I've been through a lot. A lot of things that has made me stronger, right? It makes us strong.
So what has made you stronger from that marriage?
Self-discovery, like discovering who I am now versus who I was when I was younger. Because you tend to lose yourself. You tend to lose yourself as you know, we're getting older, we're in a relationship, we're in a marriage, and then it no longer, for me, it wasn't a priority anymore. It was, you know, my ex-husband, it was my children. So I invested everything into them, as, you know, we should, but we should never forget oneself, right? And what I did was I forgot about myself. And that was my doing, and I'll take responsibility for that. And, you know, just after the marriage ended, unfortunately, it had to end. Sometimes things have to end in order for other amazing things to happen. And
Exactly.
yeah, and for me, I had to start discovering who I was all over again from scratch, as if I was this new soul on this earth, having to learn about myself again. And it's a process.
You know, you brought up a point about losing yourself. Now, I was married for 23 years,
Isn't that funny?
no children. Okay,
Right.
so we didn't have children. But yes, you tend to lose yourself. You tend to lose yourself and to lose your identity. I know, speaking for myself, I lost my identity. I didn't know who I was because
Exactly.
I was so wrapped up in his control, which I didn't realize until later. You know, I went through, I went through a lot. I went through a lot. So coming out of it, so like when I came out of it, I came out of it much stronger on the other side. So have you, so my question to you is, I would like to ask you, so if a woman is stuck, if she feels stuck, and if she feels that she's losing herself, what advice would you give her?
Well, I think, you know, feeling stuck and, you know, that doesn't happen overnight. We know this, right? It happens from just, you know, years of, um, first, my first advice would be, you know, think of what you want to do. Think of where you want to be. Are you happy? Are you truly happy with yourself? Or are you lacking? Are you, you know, are you craving, um, to be more of yourself where you feel like you can't? Right? And so I would always say to my friends, my family, whoever is going through anything like this, first you have to think and reflect within. You're the only one that will be able to make a decision as far as what it is that you want to do. And at the end of the day, you have to be okay with the choices that you make. So first you have to think, would it serve me better to leave this relationship, this marriage? Is that what I want to do? Or, you know, do I stay and work it out? Because a lot of times, Angelina, people can't, they're stuck where they're like, should I stay in a relationship or should I go? And then not realizing typically that person doesn't change, right?
That's
And
true.
people don't change unless they want to. And if you feel like you've been living this life with this person for X amount of years, and no matter what you say to them, nothing's changed, chances are they're not going to change. And you have to then make that choice. Do you want to stay in this relationship that will never change? Or is it best for you? Is it best for you to move on and find your happiness somewhere else? So it's, for me, it's a lot of soul searching you have to do for yourself, because no one else is going to be able to advise you and say you should go and you should stay or whatever. Because for me, at the end of the day, you have to be okay with the choices that you make.
That makes sense.
I don't know if that answered your question. Sorry.
No. Actually, it does. Now, I had a choice to try to make, and I did try to make the marriage work. I think that's probably normal for
It
anyone.
is absolutely, yeah, absolutely. It's normal. Your first instinct is to make things work, right? And then what we tend to do is we give it too many chances, right? We
Right.
give it more chances than it deserves. And it's because we want to be thorough with our thoughts and we want to be thorough with our decisions. But then you tend to find yourself, I don't know about you, 23 years, like at what point did you know in your head, Angelina, that this isn't really going to work? Versus how many times did you know that but continue to try to make it work? Do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
For me, I was with my relationship was for 23 years. My marriage was for about 23 years or even a little more. And I knew from the very first 5 years that this probably isn't going to work.
Wow.
But because I am such a dedicated person, I just kept turning, just turning the blind eye, just keep turning and not, things are going to change. And the one biggest mistake we make is convincing ourselves that this person is going to change.
Exactly. Because guess what? They're not going to change.
No, absolutely. I mean, people change. I'm not going to try to take that away from people, but they only change when they want to change. They're not going to change because you ask them to.
Exactly. Exactly. If you ask them to, they're not going to.
Oh, they may promise you the world that they're going to, like I was, but they're not going to. And until it's too late, right? Until you've left and until you're now moved on to your life, then, you know, sometimes they're like, oh no, I'm going to change, but it doesn't happen. You know, even if you were foolish enough to believe that and go back, you'll be back in the same predicament, I think, because that's exactly what happened to me.
Exactly. Exactly. So, you know, about rediscovering themselves, what are some of the ways that women can rediscover themselves? Can they take a class? Can they do some meditations? What do
Well,
you
I think there's different ways for different people to do that, for each their own.
think?
For me, with my experience, I first had to figure out what it is that I am happy with. Me, just Davy. What it is that I want to do. And it could be just a very simple things. Just a very simple things that you've always said you wanted to do, but just never made the time to because you were putting everyone else before yourself. So for me, it was the simple things as, you know, going to the park one day and just sit on the bench and look at the sky and look at the trees and breathe in some fresh air and
There you
just
go.
know that I'm there by myself and I'm okay with that. And for me, that was very inspiring. As simple as that was, it was very inspiring to me, for me to just sit there by myself and be at peace.
Exactly. Exactly.
You know, but
Yeah.
then there's other things, as you know, you and I talked about this before, where you go and have dinner by yourself, you know, sitting down and just sitting down, enjoying your meal without having to worry about anyone else. Going to the movies by yourself. I remember going to the movies by myself for the very first time. And man, let me tell you, I was so weirded out about it. I was so weirded out about it. I was like, oh my gosh, you know, you're worried about what everyone's going to think about you. And then, you know what? After I sat there and the movie started, I enjoyed it. It was as if it was the best, because I've never done that before. And you know what? I realized I'm pretty cool. Like, I love hanging out with myself. And then
That's
I made it a thing where I was just I would go have breakfast by myself. I would sometimes have dinner by myself. I would go to the movies by myself. And for me, that's how self-discovery, self-love comes from self-discovery, you know, and
exactly.
for me, it was just, I was at peace is the most important thing about that story.
And that same thing, you and I are similar. Like I started to go out by myself to the restaurant. We were talking about it, the Beekman Arms Hotel in Rhinebeck, New York.
Yeah.
Oh, and then a friend of mine calls me. She says, you know what? Dining alone can be very tranquil. And I feel that that was the turning point for myself.
Right.
And I started going out to the movies by myself. I was going to concerts, even concerts by myself.
Good for you. And you enjoy that.
And I enjoyed that.
Yeah. And the thing is, you know, when people used to tell me, like after my marriage had ended, you know, people give advice and they're great advice. They're like, you know, first you have to, you know, a lot of self-love, you need self-love. And for me, I thought it was like self-love. Like, I already love myself. What are you talking about? You know, and you don't understand that until you start spending time alone with yourself, you know, and
Exactly.
realizing that, or coming to the conclusion of, you're happy, you have to be happy with yourself, by yourself, in order for you to be happy with anyone else. Because sometimes we look for other people to validate us, to validate our feelings, validate our love, you know, and to just validate us. But I think, you know, for me, it was me validating for myself, having validation of my own for myself and not wanting it from anyone else. And for me, that's what self-love is when
Same
you
here.
can be happy by yourself and not need
Exactly.
anyone else. You know, it's good to have someone else to share that with, but that's secondary. You know, the first thing I think should be you loving yourself and be able to being alone by yourself and being at peace.
Exactly. And, you know, that not in that moment, I felt at peace. And I said, you know what? I can, first of all, love myself, because I think as children, were we ever taught to love ourselves?
No, you're not. Think about it. I mean, and when we were the era we were brought up in. I mean, I'm a 70s baby, 76, right? I was born, so I'm 45 years old. My mother was a single mom and she did her best and she loved us. She did. But I was always used to receiving love from other people, but didn't know what self-love is, you know? We
Right,
don't know what
exactly.
self-love is. We don't, we always want someone to be next to, whether it's a friend, a boyfriend, whatever. It was always being with someone else that made us happy, right? That we thought. So we weren't, for me, it's a new concept to be alone and be happy, right? So no, you're right.
Exactly.
We're not taught to love or love you, how to love yourself, what to do to love yourself.
I agree. Like, I was born in the 60s, so I'm 57 now. Time flies. But, you know,
Yes.
my parents are Greek, old school, and, you know, their motto was, you know, you go to high school, you graduate high school, go to college, and then meet someone, get married,
The
and
storybook, right? The storybook.
I'm
Who,
like,
and
oh
who
no.
tells us, who tell at some point, do anyone ever say, well, this is not life isn't about a storybook. It doesn't happen that way because, Angelina, I never thought I was going to ever be divorced.
Me too. Me too.
Ever, because I'm old school, so in my mind at least, the same thing, you go to school, get an education, get a good job, get married, you have kids, and you live happily ever after. So I had this stuck in my brain, and then this is very important, I think, even when those relationships and those marriages don't work out, because we're stuck with this thought that has been embedded in us for all our life, right? And so now
Right.
you're scared. You're like, what do you mean I have to start over? What? That's not part of the storybook. That doesn't happen. How do I do that? No one teaches you, and everyone makes it so bad, right? It's such a bad thing to get divorced. It's such a bad thing to have your family broken, right? Because that's what they tell you, it's a broken family.
Oh yeah. Tell
But
me
not
about it.
realizing sometimes you have to break things in order for it to fix better.
Exactly. Exactly. Or you have to go through a breakdown in order to get to your breakthrough. Same thing.
Exactly. It's like going through the storm. You have to go through the storm in order for you to see the rainbow, right?
That's important.
Yes. And I think a lot of us feel like failures at times when we're going through this because we're like, we could make this. We do. We blame ourselves a lot throughout this process, right?
Exactly.
We blame ourselves a lot, and then a lot of times, like, it takes strength to leave and walk out. Sometimes people think it's because you're giving up. No, you're not giving up. You've just tried so many times and it's not working, so it takes strength to walk away.
Oh, you're not kidding. You're not kidding. Takes a lot of strength to
Yes, it
walk
does,
away.
because you're starting over, and that's not easy. It's a scary thought, but then, because we've passed that stage, we're here to tell anyone that's going through this right now, it does get easier, and you will be happier if you know you're making the right choice.
Exactly. Exactly. What's the sense in staying in a relationship, especially in a toxic relationship that no longer serves you?
Exactly. I mean, think about it. Wouldn't you be better off just being by yourself? You don't have to find anyone else. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I would have rather just be alone for the rest of my life than to be in a position or be with someone that just makes me miserable and hurts
Exactly.
me and causes me pain.
Exactly. Exactly. And, you know, I admire you. You know, you walk, and like, I admire you for walking away, you know, from that marriage for 23 years. And you said you had 4 children?
4 boys, yes.
4 boys, yeah.
Well, thank you. But if for me, the marriage had broken me down. I was broken, and I looked at my boys and I realized that they need a, well, not that I realized, I was always the super mom, did everything, the whole mother thing, the whole mother role, the whole, almost perfect mother. And, me showing the world that versus what I was feeling inside was 2 different stories. One
Sure.
was night and one was day. And I looked at my boys and I realized that I need to be the best inside. Like I need to be 100% inside in order for me to be there to watch my boys grow. I still
Exactly.
have to teach them a lot of things. I have to teach them how, there's a lot of things that comes with being a parent and especially a mother. And I wanted to raise good humans, right? Little decent humans. And
Exactly.
yeah, and for me, I just needed to be good inside as well. And I really, really wasn't. I was showing the world and I was showing them that I was good, but I really wasn't good inside. I was falling apart because of the marriage. And the hardest thing I ever had to do in my life was to walk away, because I didn't want to walk away and put my kids, cause them to be in a broken home. But if I didn't do that, I wouldn't have been a good mother to them, I don't think, because
Right.
like I said, I was falling apart inside and they see it. The kids are smart. They know. And I just feel like they deserve better,
Exactly. Exactly. So how did you come to meet your fiance?
So after the divorce,
Yeah.
I started dating and I dated someone for about 3 years. And, that was a lot of learning too, because after getting divorced and you start dating, it's not easy at all. I mean, I certainly don't like it.
Right.
It wasn't a fun process, but I met someone, he was a good person, just we were not, his expectations of a relationship and mine was 2 different things, very, very different things. That didn't work out. And, my fiance, I just, I was on a dating site because I am a professional, like I work and I have my kids, so I don't have time for, casual dating or going to the bar or the club or wherever. So for me, dating through, an app or whatever, so it was better for me. It was easier. And he was one of the profiles that popped up. And, I'm a firm believer in not judging people by the way they look, but by the character. And I'm very, very proud of myself for doing that, because he's a handsome man. But when I looked at him, I was like, I don't know if he's my type. And I told him this, and I told him this. Yeah, I was like, you know what? I really don't know if he's my type. And I had to talk to myself. And then I went on a date with it. Like, I first really didn't, I was like, listen, you're really not my type. And then he was like, okay, well, maybe, you can give me some tips. This is when we were on the dating site. We were just messaging. And he was like, well, I'm new to the site. Maybe you can just help me out. And being the person that I am, I'm like, sure, I could do that, because we all know what it's like starting over, right? And he was starting over himself. And I said, of course, like, I can help you with that. And the more I talked to this man, the more, it was his personality, and we just clicked personality wise. I really thought to myself, I see myself being friends with this man for the rest of my life, because him and I, our thought process was about the same. Our mentality is the same, the whole thing. And then we just kind of, gradually started talking as friends. And one day he was like, let's go on a date as friends. And I was like, okay. I met him and I was like, oh, for sure, we're not gonna, not that he's a good looking man, but it's just not my type. And I was like, yeah, I don't know if this is gonna work. And I had to say to myself, Davy, don't judge him by the way he looks.
I like that.
I literally had to tell myself that. I said, don't judge him by the way he looks. go on a second date if you're not sure. Go on a second date and see what it's like, because I really enjoyed his personality. I enjoyed his company.
Mm.
And then I went on the second date with him, and I was like, all right, I like him. What can I do? You know? And that was history. And then we just started. And this was gonna be 3 years. He
Wow.
proposed 2 years into the relationship. He moved in very quickly. He did, because like I said, we hit it off so quickly. It was actually frightening for me at the beginning, but
I'm sure. Yeah.
I put my fears aside. I put my judgment, like, for me, I like the way it turned out, just because I didn't judge him based on what he looked like.
There you go.
I
That's
based
important. That's
Yes,
important.
it really, really is, because I think sometimes God will send the right person to you.
I
And
agree.
and if you cast judgment or pass judgment on that person, you're missing out on the best thing ever. And for me, everything inside felt right.
There you
From
go.
the first time I started talking to him, everything felt right. To this day, everything still feels right,
That's awesome.
Yes, I'm lucky. I'm lucky like that. I consider myself lucky.
So when is the big wedding?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm really not sure, just because I'm sure anyone who's, in our age group, or I'm gonna just speak for myself.
Sure.
I'm 45. I did the whole marriage thing, for 23 plus years I was married. I don't know if I want to get married again, Angelina. I really don't.
Yeah.
I'm good with a permanent engagement, is what I like to call it.
That's okay.
Because I've done the marriage thing, there's nothing against it. It's just that I've been there, I've done it, and I just kind of enjoy where we are right now. Maybe in the future, I don't know, but there's no dates. His mother, which is an amazing woman, she keeps saying she wants to see us married before she passes.
Mm.
And I'm like, well, I love him, he loves me, we live as if we're husband and wife. I'm always going to take care of him no matter what, and I know he will of me as well. I said, I can't promise you that, and I don't want to get married because other people want me to. Do you know what I mean?
You have to do it for yourself.
Absolutely. And one thing I've learned after the divorce is I'm only going to, this is Davy's world, and it's only what Davy wants. Davy will do.
I like that. See?
And that's what it is. And often people like to pass judgment, right?
Right,
And
exactly.
and they like to put you in this box. And I don't want to be put in a box. What other people think of me is not my problem. It's their problem.
It's their problem. Exactly.
Because you can't live up to anyone's expectations but your own.
Exactly. I've learned that long time ago.
Yep. And once you stay true to yourself, you'll be your happiest.
Exactly. And I can see that you're happy, because I know, from watching your videos and watching your live videos on TikTok, you're real and genuine, and you keep it real, raw and genuine, and you're very authentic.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. I mean, like I said, I try to be, I am myself. This is what I tell people all the time. You have to be yourself. Don't try to be what other people want you to be. You have to be yourself, and who likes you will like you, and who don't like you, that's okay. You're not here for the whole world to like you.
Not everyone's going to like me either. No, and you know what?
And it has nothing to do with you.
Right. It's them. It has
nothing to do with you. It's on them. And that's okay. I try to tell people that's okay. If you don't like me, that's okay. Go find someone that you like and you want to be around. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Because personalities are going to clash no matter what. So you could be, you could even try to be what they want you to be. But if they don't like you, they don't like you. So why try to be somebody you're not just to please others? Be yourself, be who you're happiest as being. You don't need confirmation from anyone. You don't need approval from anyone. You just got to be you and be happy with it.
And that's the key, not
Yeah.
seeking approval from others.
Yes.
That
Yes.
was my biggest issue in my marriage, like people thought that we were like the Hollywood couple. I don't know about you, but like we were like the Hollywood couple.
Yeah, everyone
but
thinks you're
behind
perfect.
closed doors.
Yes, everyone thinks you're perfect because they're like, oh, because we pretend so well.
Mm,
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna say I pretended in the whole marriage. That's not the case. Nor
right.
will I sit here and say he was a horrible man, because he wasn't, right? He really wasn't. He was a good father. He was a good husband. You know, he was a good man. But there's certain things that you just can't, either you grow apart, or, at least that's the way I try to remember it.
Exactly.
Again, I don't focus on all the negative things that have happened to me throughout my life, because if I do that, then I get sucked in and I get to bring my past with me every day of my life. I don't want to do that. I want to use my past as just reference, but I don't want to take that around with me. I don't want to take that baggage around with me every single day, because that's heavy weight.
It is.
And I choose to not remember every bad thing that happened to me. It's in my brain. Yes, it's there. I use it as a reference. You know what I mean? So something comes up. I'm like, hang on one second. I go through my reference real quick in my brain, right? I'll be like, oh, I did that already. That didn't work out. Let me do that again. Right? And so that's what I use it as. So I don't go holding on to every bad thing, because if we do that, you're not living for the moment anymore. You're just living in the past.
Exactly.
You're living in the past and you can no longer change it. You can't change it.
Exactly. I totally agree with you. You cannot change the past.
No.
So it's a life experience. It's not a life sentence.
Correct. And you use that as use the life experience as just a reference.
Exactly. Exactly.
You put it in archive, and you leave it there. You don't take your archives around with you everywhere you go.
Exactly.
It's in the back of the brain somewhere. Leave it there. Don't reminisce about it every single day, because the time that you're taking to reminisce about it, you're wasting on something you can't change. Do you know what I mean?
I agree. Because there's a lot of women who are still hurting out there. They feel stuck and they don't know what to do. They feel trapped.
Yeah, no, they do. And that's not you remember, that's not a fun place to be.
No. Oh, I know.
Where you think it's never going to end, where you think you have nowhere to go, when you think that there's nothing I can do, right? These self-doubt, this is what plays in our head over and over and over again. But let me tell you, Angelina, so quick story.
Good.
So before I left, I didn't think I was like, okay, I'm going to have to rent a house because 4 kids, right? Or rent an apartment or something. I didn't think I was going to ever be able to buy my own house, right? I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I knew I had enough and I had to do something. So I took a leap of faith and I just said, I'm doing it. I told my ex-husband it was over. I no longer want to do this. We had a house together. He didn't want to leave. And I was so determined that I couldn't be there anymore that I said, okay, I'm going to leave. I didn't care that I would have to rent a house. I didn't care. I just knew and had faith that it was going to work out.
There you go. And the fear, you threw the fear right out the window.
I threw the fear away, because if I had let that fear come with me and stayed with me, I would have still been in an unhappy marriage.
There you go. That's what I did. I put fear aside. You know how it is where you just draw a line in the sand one day? You just wake up one morning with an epiphany. And that's exactly what I did.
Yeah, you said, this is it. This is the day. I'm never turning back. I'm not going back. I don't care what happens. I'm done. And for me, that was it. You know how they said the old saying, that one straw that broke the camel's back.
Yes.
And when that camel's back is broken, it no longer gets up. That it's done. Like, it is done. Stick a fork in me, I'm done. Like, that's how I felt. I was just done, girl. I was done. And then what ended up happening was for the heck of it, I said, let me go see a mortgage broker, right?
Oh, good.
And
Okay.
I went and I saw her, and let me tell you, God works in mysterious ways. The universe works in mysterious
I
ways.
agree.
You never know, like you can have all these self-doubts. You never know until you try.
Exactly.
Never know
Exactly.
until you try. And I knew if I go see this mortgage broker, I wasn't going to lose anything. Wasn't going to lose anything. And I went and I said, the worst she could say is I'm not approved for a loan.
There you go. There
And
you
I
go.
filed, like, I had my ex-husband and I had filed for bankruptcy 7 years prior. So for me, I had a greater chance of not being approved, right?
Right.
And I don't know. Deep down, I feel like I still shouldn't have been approved, but what do I know? What do I know? The universe has a better plan for us, and we will never know what that plan is if you stay still and don't do anything. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. God and the universe had a better plan for both of us, and especially for you, with 4 kids.
Yeah,
With
and
4
then
kids.
I was approved for the loan, and I found I got approved, found my house, and moved in within 2 months.
Woo!
That's what I said, girl. Woo!
Woo!
That's
And
what I said.
I moved from Rhinebeck to Saratoga Springs, New York. And I lived in a 1-bedroom apartment. But 4 years ago, I took a leap of faith, and I live in a 2-bedroom apartment now in a much better area,
Yeah, yeah.
same landlord. So
You just
God
have to,
always has a better plan for
yeah.
us.
You have to have faith, you have to have patience, and you have to know that things are going to be okay. I mean, let me say, with that being said, there was a lot of crying, a lot of tears, a lot of, putting my faith into something bigger than myself.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's a process, and all I can say is that it gets easier in time. It really does. And when people used to say that to me, I used to want to say, shut up. Like, that makes no sense. Time.
Exactly.
But then I know that because I went through that, and I know time does heal everything. And in time, once you have your goal and you stay focused on it, keep focused on it. It'll come through. It'll really definitely come true. You just have to be there, to be present, to keep working on it.
Exactly. Exactly. That's what I did. I set 3 goals for myself in 2010, and I achieved them all in 2011 and moved up here. That's all I did.
Yeah.
Put the fear aside. I didn't care if I slept on someone else's couch.
Yeah.
I didn't care if I was almost homeless. I didn't care.
You just knew that anything would be better than
Right.
where you were at that moment.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it was scary sometimes.
It was scary for me. It was scary a lot of the times because now I'm like, oh, I'm the only one working. All 4 of my kids did not move with me. The 2 older boys wanted to stay with their father. And for me, it wasn't a problem because, it's their father and they're the age where they needed their dad more. And I understand that. I had to put my feelings aside and not take it personal, right?
Exactly.
And then say, okay, this is what you want to do. I'm here. I'm still your mother. You have a second home, and there were a lot of scary moments, but I stayed positive throughout those negative, when you want to feel negative and when you want to feel like everything's going to fall apart. And then it was just me working, and I'm like, if something, God forbid, happens, what am I going to do? I have a mortgage to pay. I have a car payment to pay. I have all my bills to pay by myself. And let me tell you, Angelina, I did it by myself with no help from anyone.
Good for you. Good
And
for
then,
you.
you know what? It was the proudest, for me, I'm so proud of that because, as women, sometimes people make you believe, or maybe it's our own self-doubt that we think we can't do it.
Yes, that's true.
That you need a man, or you need someone else help, you can't do it. It was, and for me to achieve all these things by myself, and the grace of God and the universe being on my side, that's, for me, It's a great accomplishment. I felt proud of myself that I was able to do it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And yeah, I mean, you could be very proud of yourself, and same with me, because we did it on our own with no help.
Exactly. And then when it comes down to it, you're like, if I have to do this again, I'll be fine because I did it already.
Right?
You know, and when people want to say negative things or hateful things towards me, I'm like, it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me because you don't pay my bills. You don't know what my struggles were. Nothing they can say will affect who I am because I'm greater than what they think I am.
Exactly. Exactly. Absolutely.
That's what I choose to tell myself, at least.
Good. That's good. You know, you're worthy. You're
Yes.
worthy.
Absolutely. And it's what you tell yourself at the end of the day. It's not what other people think about you.
Exactly. Exactly. So if someone wants to inflict hate, I don't respond. I don't feed into it. You know, because some men will do that because they'll say to you, "Oh, you're never going to make it."
Yeah, well, you know, people say things like that because they're scared. It comes
Okay.
from their own fear. And that's how they try to discourage you, man, woman, whoever. When people, you know, want to think like that about you, they don't know you. Some of them don't know you and they don't know what you're capable of, or even the ones that do know you, they really don't know what you're capable of, right?
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
sometimes people tell you these things not because they think that about you, but it's their own self-doubts that they're projecting onto you.
Exactly. Exactly. Absolutely.
And then sometimes men do that, or people in relationships, people do that to you know, their partners because they want to scare them into not going anywhere. They want them to be scared. They want them to only depend on them. They want their partners to only depend on them, make them feel like you can't survive in this world without me.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, it's what narcissistic people do, right?
That's true.
Yeah, and it's what, you know, controlling people do as well. They want to control you. So these, I think these are things people say to you, not because it's what they think about you, but it comes from their insecurities.
There you go. There you go. You're 100% right.
Yeah, and like I said, what people, their insecurities have nothing to do with you. You know what I mean?
Exactly. It's a reflection of themselves.
Correct, correct, correct. So this is how I do things because people ask me, how do I, you know, don't let people get to me like that. And I say, I have a filter. This is how I like to look at it, Angelina.
Good.
I have to look at things physically, right? I might be, sometimes I think I'm a little weird when I do this, but I think of myself, my body, I see my body, I put a filter or a protection around my body as if nothing can penetrate that. Do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean. Yes.
So I put like, it's as if I'm there and there's a bubble around me that nothing can penetrate this bubble, nothing. So I'm in there by myself, right?
Right.
And then I only allow what I want to allow into this bubble.
There you go. There you go.
And nothing else can penetrate it, like I say. And I choose to live like that. It's, for me, I have to visualize it that way.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
then the haters, nope, I will not allow it into my bubble. You know, the things that doesn't serve me any purpose in life, I do not allow it into my bubble. I allowed my loved ones in my bubble. I allow positive thoughts into my bubble. I allow what I choose to allow into my bubble. And it's the same thing for everyone. You don't have to use the bubble. For me, I'm more of a visual person, so I had to use the bubble. But the same goes for you. Don't listen to what other people say unless you want it for yourself.
There you go. There you go. You nailed it.
You know what I mean? Because people are always going to have an opinion about you.
Oh, absolutely.
They're always going to have a thought about you. They're always going to say things about you, but you don't have, it doesn't mean you have to, you can hear it, but you don't have to like accept it.
Exactly. Exactly. You know, and I see that on TikTok more and more now. Like,
Oh my gosh, yes.
why is that?
I think a lot of people, this is how I like to look at it. A lot of people are miserable. unhappy. And I feel sorry for them because their lives are unhappy, and most likely they were brought up with not enough love, right?
Okay.
And they don't know how to be kind. And they were raised maybe in this bubble that anything out of a box, should I say, they were raised in a box. So anything that they're not used to is weird, or any person or people that they're not used to seeing is considered weird, or do you know what I mean?
I know what
So
you mean.
they just like to cast judgment, and people are so good at that. They like to judge others without, any knowledge of that person or what that person is going through. So, but I think it stems from them being unhappy and them being unloved, and they don't know what else to do except share their hate and their negative, because they're negative. Those people are very negative. If think about it this way, Angeline, if you don't know someone, right, and you're just scrolling on TikTok, you come across someone's video, and you don't know this person, but you're like, oh my gosh, this person is so, let me tell them about themselves, and you start typing.
Right.
What does that say about you?
Exactly.
You don't know.
Not very much.
Exactly. Ignorance too is a very big part of this.
Okay.
And then for you to not know this person or anything about this person except a couple of seconds, right? Or maybe 3 minutes, I don't know. If you don't like someone or something that they're doing, keep scroll. Go find something that brings joy to you.
Exactly.
Don't stick around somebody's profile and go stalking them and go watch all their videos just to leave negative comments.
I know.
Go find something productive to do with your time,
Exactly.
But I come back to your question. I think it just stems from them being unhappy.
Okay.
Because I feel like these people, first of all, if someone's making a video or someone's doing their thing, maybe it hurts them to see that person's actually happy.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean.
And because they can't find their happiness now, there's certain parts of them that is resentment too. They resent this person for being so free and carefree.
Exactly.
But I'm sure there's more to it. For me, that's how I like to choose that's how I choose to look at it, is that they're unhappy.
Exactly. They're unhappy with themselves. Yes, and they have their own issues, but that doesn't mean that they have to spread hate.
Correct. And then a lot of times, right, if they took that energy and that time that they want to invest into strangers like that, if they took that energy and time and did something good for themselves.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah, and invest some time in trying to figure out what is really causing them all this pain, they'll be a better person for themselves.
I agree with you. Totally agree with you.
Yeah. Because you can't spread hate and expect everyone to give you love.
Exactly.
But I think it stems from obviously ignorance, and with ignorance comes a lot of other unfortunate things, but it stems from ignorance. Exactly.
Absolutely. Well, we're coming up at the top of the hour, and this was great.
Has it been an hour already?
It's already been an hour.
I love it.
So in closing, what special message would you like to share in closing, and where can people find you?
People can find, I do have social media. I'm not a big on Facebook or Instagram right now. I'm just keeping that private. But you can find me on TikTok.
Good.
On there, I have 2 accounts. Unfortunately, I had to, create a second account because of haters. I got blocked once on my live on.
I remember that.
Yes,
totally uncalled for.
It is, but it is what it is. My backup account is Uplifting Minds 3.
Okay.
And the first one, Angelina, I don't even know what the first one is.
I think it's Uplifting 76.
I think sorry. I think it is.
That's the first account, because you know why I tagged you.
Oh, you did?
Um,
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Because, because who pays attention? Not me. I don't pay, because I don't share that information really
I
with
understand
anyone.
that.
So I thank you. But so yes, Uplifting 76 would be my first account.
Okay,
I do have a YouTube channel as well, but nothing is really established. I am just, searching, still discovering me, still discovering what it is that I like to do and what I
right.
want to do. So everything is, in the process of right now.
Okay, good, good. That's it. Well, you know what? I want to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule, because I know you're busy, and to share your thoughts and to be a part of my platform.
Oh,
So,
you're very, very welcome.
yeah,
Real quick before we go, I just, I think things happen in our lives for a reason. There's nothing random. At least I don't believe so. So me meeting you, the fact that we connected so well without really knowing each
I
other,
know.
I appreciate those friendships more because it's as if the universe bring people together,
Exactly.
and we have social media to thank for that. I think you're an amazing person. Keep doing you, keep spreading your love and your awareness to all these people. And I'm not going to say just women, right? Because men sometimes also need to hear exactly
Yeah.
what we're talking about. And I think sometimes they go through their own struggles without getting the help that they need. So this, hopefully will help them as well. But I'm really thankful that we've met. Can't wait to see how this friendship is going to bloom.
Ooh, it's
Um,
moving already.
it is absolutely, and you know how it is. It's very, it's just something amazing to watch. Just become something more amazing. And I thank you for having me on today. Um,
My
and
pleasure.
I always enjoy talking to you. You know that.
And I enjoy talking to you too. And I cannot wait until we meet in person, and that will be
Yes.
soon.
Yes, yes, yes. That would be soon. Yes, sooner than later, Angeli.
Exactly, exactly.
Sooner
Okay,
than later.
absolutely, absolutely. So I want to thank you for joining us today on Let's Break the Silence podcast. So everyone, this new episode 24, this will be uploaded onto my podcast later on today and on my YouTube channel. So please click the link in my bio, which is letsbreakthesilence.com. And when you go to that link, you will find my podcast, which is on Anchor FM, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. And you will find the link to my YouTube channel too. So this is a wrap. And thank you so much, Davy. Thank you
You're
so much.
very
Really, really appreciate you.
very
And
well.
hang on for 1 second. I'm going to stop the recording. And I wish you all an amazing day. Please stay on though.